Hey everyone, welcome to another typology interview. We have Amanda. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Really good to have you.
Thank you.
So I kind of know your type. I know your TESE sort of thing,
hmm
and we were just chatting a little bit. So I think I saw feminine sensory and then masculine TE,
Yes.
right?
hmm
Okay, so maybe tell us a little bit about your history, how you got into OP, where you started with typology.
Yeah. So I feel like my whole life has been this like journey of self-discovery, which like demon FI, like yeah, that makes sense. So when I was in college, I was in a class where they had us take a Myers-Briggs personality test. So I was introduced to Myers-Briggs as that was the first like any type of personality typing I ever did. Um, and I've always been interested in like human behavior, how people work, like why do our brains work the way they do. So that was really really interesting to me, and I think that was kind of the first time I found something to like help define myself, I guess. um so I really got into that for a while. Was typed as an INFJ with Myers-Briggs, which I can kind of work backwards and see like maybe how I thought I was an INFJ, but I absolutely am not. um and then I ended up finding OP through Frank James, who does a lot of INFJ
Oh wow,
stuff. Yeah, and he had done a podcast with Dave. I listened to that and thought it was really, really interesting. So I signed up for the class right away after that.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what were you expecting to get when you turned in your type? Did you put a type down?
Um, I think I mentioned in my video that I thought I could be INFJ. And I think part of that was I thought I was a lot more introverted than I actually am.
Right.
And really getting into OP and seeing the other introverts, I'm not like that. I have a lot more energy. I'm a lot more outgoing. Um,
Mhm.
and then I think I was confusing my feminine sensory for being demon sensory, because I thought like I'm so bad at details, like there's no
Yeah.
way that this could be a savior for me. But it's feminine, so that makes a lot of sense. And then what surprised me the most is that I'm ST. I really did not think I was ST. I thought if I'm not an INFJ, I might be some other kind of NF. I was totally seeing myself upside down. But I also had some people in my life who were ST. I think they were more like masculine SI people, and I really didn't connect with them. So I thought like I can't. There's no way I'm an ST.
Hmm.
Surprise! I'm an
Yeah,
ST.
that's interesting. So okay, so let's start with your TE, I guess, masculine
Mm-hmm.
TE. It's really famous for being like a special function that you're not aware of how you come off to people.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm a pretty like friendly person. I feel like I can get along with just about anybody.
right.
Um I think I notice it more when I'm tired. I get a little bit sassier than I typically
Okay.
would be. I feel like I do a lot of like manual override in my brain throughout the day just to maintain like being professional and having a nice environment, because I still like TE still wants everything to work for everyone. I want everyone to get along. Um Yeah, but that's definitely the thing that I have the hardest time seeing is the masculine TE.
So what do you see about you like everyone to get along? How are you seeing that?
I don't like anyone to be upset, and I don't know if that's like an issue I have with people being like overly emotional around me, but I also feel like an obligation to just have things work. Like I don't like when like a system is broken, or if, especially at work, I do a lot of like developing of business strategies. And I don't like when something doesn't work, I guess. Like I want it
So
to work for
if something
everyone.
works but people are upset about it, is that still working, or
Um,
does it have to be fixed?
yeah, it depends. And that definitely happens a lot where we'll, roll out a new strategy, and it's not like I'm the only one that has developed the strategy. Like the company as a whole has decided this is our strategy going forward based on, market research and all this other stuff. And some people who have worked there for a really long time do have a hard time understanding why it works. So it's a little extra effort, but most of the time, like once you put it into practice, once you do it alongside them and they see that, like, yes, you're going to get results from this, then
Right.
it helps get them on board for sure.
I see. Um, Getting people on board, is that something that's important to you? Is that something that you do?
I think so.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, because obviously, if I believe in a strategy and I think it's going to work well for someone's business and it's working well for others people's business, then I would like for the people who aren't that into it to get on board with it because it
Right.
works.
And what if everyone's on board with another plan, and you see this plan as being better? Would you still propose this plan? Would you jump with that? Would you jump ship and join them?
If someone is doing something better than the way I'm doing it, like absolutely I would look into that and say like, okay, well, what's actually going on here? Why is this working?
What if it's
And
a
if
group and you're a new member to the group and they're doing something one way and they all want to do it that way?
I probably would do it their way until I understand it, and if
Uh,
yeah, I probably would jump in with them until I really understand what's going on.
and would you try to recruit them to change things? Like, how would you implement that change?
If what they were doing was really not working, I probably would say, "Hey, I know about this other way. Maybe we should
Right.
do it this way."
Would you say it to the group, to individuals first? Would you just complain
I probably would say it to individuals first.
and see how it would like ping off them, see how they would
Yeah.
accept to hear it? Yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable just throwing it out there
Right.
and having it be totally rejected by everybody.
And let's say I'm just gonna keep this is annoying for sensories, but I'm gonna keep throwing out these
It's fine.
theoreticals here.
Mhm.
So like let's say 50% of the people are responding well to your new idea, and then 50% of the people are really rejecting it and like the old way.
Mhm.
So now you've spoken to everybody. What's the next step in the process?
I don't know. I kind of think sometimes you have to dig a little deeper with people and figure out like why don't you like it? Why don't you want to do it? Is it you're just not
Uh-huh.
understanding the concept? You're not seeing results from it? You have like a personal issue with it? Yeah, I
Right.
think you just have to problem solve a little deeper in that case.
And so in that case, would you feel responsible to figure out why they're disagreeing to try to get them on board? Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, so you do see kind of how TE could be a trial function in that way then?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Um, let okay, so how did you start realizing that you have this masculine TE? Like, is it something that you just realized when OP typed you, or is it something that you knew beforehand a little bit that you were
Oh,
doing this? Or
I had no clue that I had masculine TE beforehand. I had absolutely no idea.
and you
Um,
started seeing it in your life now a little bit?
a little bit. I feel like it comes out more when I'm like stressed or when I'm tired and I'm not like manually regulating it, you know? Um, I feel like I do a decent job in my everyday life of like not offending people, I guess. But I do think I say things very bluntly. Like if someone asks me a question, I give a pretty quick answer and then I have to kind of go back and explain it because I have a
Right.
pretty like off the cuff response. And then
Is
I'm
that
like,
is
well,
that something you
wait. This is
appreciate
what I
in,
actually mean.
yeah, is that something you appreciate in other people too, when they're blunt and they're straightforward?
Yes. I don't know. I think if it feels like rude and malicious to me, I don't like that.
Right.
But I do appreciate people who say it the way it is.
So like you were saying that just before the interview, you were scared a little bit of Shan, and so you went to
Yeah.
talk to Dave instead. So like what?
It seemed so aggressive to me. It seemed so, I was
Right.
like, oh,
Uh-huh.
which is so
So like,
funny.
are you able to start seeing that you're behaving like that, or maybe you've figured out a way around it, or
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know. So I don't know if you want me to tell you my animals, but can
well,
it,
okay, let me
can
guess
it,
first. All right.
okay.
I got your modalities already.
Mhm.
So I guess you're blast second. No?
Mm-mm.
No. But you're not blast last.
No.
No. Okay, so then it's consume blast.
Yep. Yeah. So
Sigma.
I'm blast third. So I feel like if I had blast a little higher, I would be a little punchier than I am. I feel
Right.
like I tend to like if a conversation is happening, I'm taking that time to like take it in and think about it and really formulate a response
Right. Yeah, you
as
go to the
opposed to
consume
just like
before the blast.
throwing out what I think immediately,
Yeah.
which I think helps me from being a little too aggressive masculinity.
Right. So it's a little bit delayed. It's
Right.
still right. It's still there. It's just delayed a little bit because of the
Right.
consumer. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like Shen has last.
Mm-hmm.
So why like I guess like there's still something there that's a little bit intimidating, no? Do you notice that people sort of perk up when you're around and are kind of like nervous, or it's something you've
Well,
noticed recently,
I
or
don't think people are like nervous or afraid of me, but like at work, like I'm in a leadership position, so
yeah,
when I'm around, like people are gonna be trying to do what they're supposed to be doing because
yeah.
I'm there.
No,
I don't.
sorry, I'm just trying to dig a little deeper. I'm not, yeah, meaning anything. Yeah,
Oh, no, 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 and I don't think you're
yeah,
meaning
yeah.
anything.
So okay, so like, do you think people are a little bit more careful around you so that to try to avoid that TE, or no? It's not.
I don't think so. I'm really not like a. I don't say a lot of things that I think are like rude or mean,
Yeah,
or I might say
yeah.
things like in a matter of fact kind of way, but it's not really like attacking anybody, you
Okay,
know?
yeah. And how would other people say it?
I really don't know.
Yeah, or
Um,
they'd be too afraid to. No, I'm just wondering.
yeah,
It's
yeah, I
just a
really don't
joke.
know.
I'm just asking because it's just
I don't
a
know. I don't
theory
think
that.
people are scared of me.
Yeah,
I feel like it comes out more like if I feel like I have a good relationship. Like I have one boss who I'm pretty straightforward with, and if something is incorrect or like something we're doing is not right, like I'm very quick to speak up about it. But I feel like we know each other so well that she's not gonna like think I'm being rude if I'm doing that.
right. Okay. And so then your SE is next. It's feminine.
Mhm.
So I guess you were always seeing yourself as intuitive because of that feminine sensory.
Yeah, I thought I had sensory absolutely last because it's feminine. I was like, I'm so bad at details. I don't like I'm not good at that. I don't do that. But learning OP a little bit more, I understand it more as just like gathering sensory, which
Right.
I do that absolutely all the time. And I see that I my SE is probably the function I see the most. I catch myself doing it the most.
Right. Do you feel like you're responsible to be lucid, to be sane, to be connected to reality, to not?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Does it annoy you maybe if someone's like not really talking reality talk? I don't know.
Yes, yes, it does.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I have someone in my life that I'm pretty close to who's very NF, like straight up just so NF. And a lot of the times I'm like, what are you actually saying though? Like I need you
Yeah.
to explain like in a clear like what do you want me to do? Like in a clear way because sometimes it's hard for me to like pull out the actual real facts from an
Mhm.
NF who's speaking.
Yeah. What about like what about do you see them jumping to conclusions sometimes? Is that something that you don't like to do or
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really don't. I really don't. I feel responsible to understand the whole picture before I make a choice or decision or jump to a conclusion.
yeah.
I feel like if you jump to a conclusion and it doesn't seem quite right, like it doesn't seem totally tied to reality, I feel like you need to get a lot more information before you can totally stand on that.
And what if they just end up being right anyways, but it wasn't tied to reality? Is that annoying
Well,
too? Does that ever happen? I don't
whatever.
know.
I mean, it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um so I was one of the people that watches the interviews and is in the group and stuff, Rockby, he
Mhm.
was saying how feminine sensory maybe seems like when they're talking it sounds a little bit more abstract because they're usually painting visual pictures with their words. Do you usually have imagery in your head when you're talking and you're trying to
Yeah,
paint that? Yeah.
yes. Just about everything I'm saying, I see something in my mind. Like if I'm planning my week or I'm planning a schedule, like there's a physical calendar week in my brain that I'm seeing. Um, and I think that's another reason I thought I had sensory last because
Hmm.
sometimes when I speak, it's not as like
Yeah.
clear and detailed as someone with masculine sensory might be.
Because like, do you feel like you're trying to describe a picture that it's just impossible to describe? Is that sort of the no? I don't know.
Uh, maybe sometimes. But I see a lot of things in my like I'm very visual. I
Right.
see something in my mind as I'm saying it for the most part.
Yeah, it's just one of his theories, so I wanted to put
Hmm.
it out there and see.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
sometimes
interesting.
you listen to the NE people and
Hmm.
they have some interesting ideas.
Right.
Um, but at least it's a little bit true.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think so.
okay, so then like your masculine NI, I guess you see that a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if I have like as clear of an understanding of what masculine NI is, but I also feel like my observers are relatively balanced. So I'm not encountering like a ton of demon NI problems that are like smacking me in the face constantly where I'm going to see it as much.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely understand that I have NI. Like I definitely see myself narrowing down
Yeah.
and wanting to go with one idea as opposed to just grabbing a bunch of ideas all over the place and throwing them around.
Right. Do you do that sometimes? Like throw out ideas before you narrow down? Like how do you know what to narrow down on?
Um, I feel like I throw out ideas more like in a physical sense. Like if I'm trying to put something together, like physically trying to like assemble a piece of furniture or something, I'm like, well, what if it was this way? What if it was that way? And I'm actually like physically trying it.
Right. Like
It's a
puzzling it a
little
little bit.
less like, yeah. And it's a little less like grabbing concepts out of the air. Um, I feel like when I'm thinking of myself like in a meeting where there are lots of other I go to like a conference once a year for people who do my job and everyone just kind of shares ideas. And I definitely see myself kind of like picking out the ones I think that are going to work for me as opposed
Mhm.
to like I have to do everything that everyone else is doing.
Yeah. Um, do you often like before you go to solve a problem, do you like to hear what other people have to say? Do you yeah, you like to get opinions first?
Oh yeah. I ask a lot of questions.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Definitely.
the TE play sort of thing,
Hmm.
right?
I ask a lot of
Um,
questions. I want to know everything.
uh, yeah, so I guess Dave and Shen kind of joke about that. Where like, I guess Shen and their son as well just
Hmm.
asks obvious questions.
Right. They limit him to like 3 questions and that's all
Yeah,
he's on.
right. Because he just asks these obvious questions that like just ask yourself, or I guess
Hmm.
that's the term. So
Right.
have you tried to employ that a little bit? Ask yourself.
I don't know because I feel like I use it for good and not for evil. I don't know if that's the right way to
Yeah.
say it, but I see myself doing it a lot more. So like I work in cosmetics and we have lots of different makeup and skincare products, and I'm responsible for taking the new information about a new product launch, learning all about it, and then telling my teams about it. So I think where I see my TE happening the most is when we get a new thing because I want to learn absolutely everything I can about it. And I am constantly just like hammering questions on the people who are teaching me.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I do kind of the same thing when I'm
Hmm.
learning in a learning situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel so responsible to gather the information and I'm going to ask the people
Right.
who know.
And to make sure it's clear, like to make sure your instructions are really clear, because if you make a mistake, then it's on
Right.
them.
Because if I
It's on
screw
you
it
as
up,
well.
then like everyone else is going to screw it up and that's on me.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then if you screw it up and they gave you clear instructions, then it's on them.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Be like, this is what
Yeah.
you told me to do.
Um, okay. What about your baby FI?
Ooh,
Is that
yeah.
something that you knew was a demon? Like you had, or I guess you thought it was
Um,
a savior, your FI.
So I thought I was an INFJ. So I thought I had it.
It
I
was
thought
FE.
I had. I thought I had demon identity.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
just didn't understand that it was FI, and I didn't think it was like really all the way at the bottom.
Right.
Um, but now that I know that, I with like the big problems I've had in life are totally demon FI problems.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Like knowing what you want to do, what's important to you, stuff like that, what your priorities are. That's something
Yeah.
that's difficult for you to figure out.
Um, I know what I feel like I know what I like. I know my priorities, but especially with it being feminine, I feel like they get lost really easily. Like it feels
Right.
really fuzzy.
Will you sacrifice them for what works?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if
Um,
I use the analogy of like everyone where I'm trying to order food with a group of my friends. Like if I want maybe I want pizza, everyone else wants Chinese food. If everyone else wants Chinese food, like I'll throw my pizza in the garbage and order Chinese food.
Right. Or on the wall behind you, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
um, so, okay. So, what about like, what about making big decisions in your life, trying to be true to yourself? Does that
Hmm.
happen like every so often? Like, are they big? Do you make these? Because I normally see that people with FI high, they don't won't make the huge decisions. They'll like always be true to that. But someone with like the FI low, they'll they'll make those big decisions in their life every so often, where they just completely change course. Have you noticed that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I guess I do that. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So well, we were talking a little bit before the interview, about, when I graduated college, I lived with my parents. I had this job. I didn't like the job. I just totally quit without a plan because I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then I looked for a job that I knew I would love. I totally moved to a different city for that job. And then I got offered a promotion after doing that for 3 years
But you
and
did that because you didn't
moved to
like
a.
it. You
It's
liked
not
this
that I
new
didn't
job
like it. I
better.
feel like I was getting bored. I feel like I was outgrowing
Okay.
it. I also had been in a almost 3-year relationship at that time that had ended just about the time that I was offered the promotion.
Right.
So it all kind of worked out. And I was like, yeah, see you later, guys. I'll totally move to a new city. That's fine with me.
Awesome. So I just noticed there, I picked up that like you were getting bored. So that's like EP stuff.
Hmm.
You quit without a plan.
Hmm.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. Is that kind of, you're kind of like more of a go with the flow sort of person that you don't really need to plan. You just sort of go with whatever.
I do planning, especially in my job because it's so necessary.
Right.
But I also understand that like I could make a plan for 5 years from now, and there's so many things that could happen to me that's just gonna totally ruin it.
Yeah. Lissa pointed out that you got excited about the pizza, I guess.
Oh. I did. People who know me, I got this for Christmas because my friends know that I love pizza, any and all
Okay.
kind of pizza. So I
Right.
get excited about pizza. Yeah.
That's why the Chinese food is bad to go with your
Right.
friend. Yeah.
Hmm. I like Chinese food too, but there's a time and a place.
Right. Um are you okay, so what about like do you connect with people, I guess, based on what you like? Are you open about yeah?
Definitely. I feel like the older I get, the more like unapologetic I am about the things that I like. I think when I was younger, I tried to make sure I was liking the things that everyone else was liking, so I would fit in.
Right. Yeah.
But as I get older, I'm like, this is what I like. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, whatever. But I think I've noticed that like the people I connect with really deeply are the people who I have a lot of things in common with. Like we like the same things. I feel
Right.
like if we like the same things, like you understand me.
Does it feel personal? Are you able to reveal kind of the things you like, or you feel you like you'll get judged for them, or
Um, it depends. It depends. I think it takes a while for me to get to a point where I'm comfortable like sharing all the things I like, especially if it's something that's like maybe not the most popular thing in the world. I'm
right?
definitely a lot more hesitant
Uh-huh.
about sharing that part of myself for sure.
Um, but pizza's fine, I guess.
Oh yeah, pizza's good.
Yeah.
Everyone loves pizza, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I
No
will
reason.
totally declare that I love pizza.
Um, okay. So how do you see the sleep come into your life? Do you feel like you're always go, go, go? You don't sort of stop to relax, to think, to go over your
Yeah, yeah,
emotions?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And after I got officially typed, I realized that like I was doing my sleep totally wrong. And the things I thought I was doing to relax and decompress were like not what I should be doing at all. Like in my brain, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna come home. I get on video games to play with my friends. Like my friends are
Right.
online. They ask me to play. I'm gonna play with them. This is my relaxing time. I'm doing things for myself. This is
Right.
relaxing.
Yeah, and I guess
Um,
well, it could be connected to your FI if you like it, but I mean, it's
sure, but
still
it's
running away
still
from
like
your yeah.
I'm still like playing with the tribe, kind of, right? I'm not
Right.
taking that time to look inward. I'm still kind of unconsciously doing in the moment.
Do you use other people to help you process feelings?
Oh,
Like I guess
yes.
you went through a breakup, so like
Hmm.
you get other people to help you process, or you process yourself, or
Do a lot of, I need to talk it out. Like I have maybe like 2 or 3 friends who I'm really close with. They know me really well. Um, I never feel judged by them or anything like that. So I always, if I'm going through anything, I need to call them up and we talk about it. And I feel like
right?
that's what really helps me process.
And when someone's coming to you to help you process, like help them process the feelings with
Hmm.
you, does that happen as well?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it hard for you to just listen to their feelings? Do you want to solve it right away, or
Um, I feel like that's an interesting question. I feel like I'm decent at offering advice to my friends because I see through like the emotion that's clouding their thinking. Does that make sense?
right? Yeah.
Like they're very emotionally charged and I feel like I can look at it and see like what's actually happening as opposed to them just reacting on emotion.
So we have a question. What do you do to relax then, other than video games now, I
Yeah,
guess?
so I'm very into just like typical self-care girly stuff, like doing a face mask, taking a bubble bath, taking time to paint my nails or just do something for myself that's going to make me feel better and give me time to actually ask myself how I'm feeling. Because a lot of times throughout the day, like if something upsets me or, if I'm driving to work and I have something going in my head, I tend to just like shove it away because I'm like, I don't have
Right.
time for this right now. This is not an appropriate time to feel this way. I'll deal with it later. So I've been making more of a conscious effort to actually deal with it later instead of
Yeah.
totally forgetting about it.
So you mentioned before about your friends having feelings that they're clouding their judgment. Does that
Hmm.
happen to you? And like in these cases where you're pushing the feelings away, do they cloud your judgment?
I think I don't trust my feelings.
Mm,
I think I need some logic to stand on. Like I don't necessarily trust making a decision just on how I feel. Um, I think I need to like logically work it out before I make any kind of choice. And I do think there are times when, like, for anyone, when we're stressed or we're upset or anything, we've got all these brain chemicals happening. You're not in your totally clearest mind, right?
right.
Um, yeah, so I do think that
Um,
feelings tend to cloud.
do, do you think sometimes maybe your logic is going to be corrupted, I guess, in that way to protect your feelings? Like you'll just argue a point that you know is wrong, but just because it's protecting your feelings?
Um, Interesting. Not necessarily. Um, but I think a lot of times we all kind of see what we want to see or like think what we want to think, right? So maybe you'll get locked onto an idea because you're unconsciously protecting yourself, but you think it's totally valid.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think
So
I've ever
so it's not purpose.
consciously,
Yeah, it's not conscious,
right? I've
but
never
you
like
think it's unconscious.
purposefully been like, no, I'm not letting go of this idea, even though I know it's wrong because it's protecting my feelings.
Right.
But I'm
It's
sure I
subconscious.
do that
Yeah.
unconsciously.
Okay, so we have a couple questions here.
Sure.
How does your FF audio consume manifest? Oh, you're not using audio, you're using visual.
Yep. Visual.
So how does your, I guess, visual consume best?
I feel like my consume is my favorite animal. Like when I'm consuming, I'm like so happy. And I don't know if that's because my FI is involved in my consume. Um, I really like going to Target. I don't know if you have Target where you are
I've heard of
or
it,
if
I
you've
guess.
ever,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I like just going into a store and just looking at everything. Like I love home decor stuff,
Uh-huh.
fun colors. I like craft projects and,
Yeah, that's something with feminine sensory. I was talking to someone yesterday as well about the colors. They like to surround themselves with nice colors and
mhm. Yeah, I have
like they're
certain colors
really
that are my favorite colors, and I'm very drawn to those. And I tend to just like everything in my apartment is those colors, kind of accidentally,
okay,
but
I see. Yeah.
mhm.
Okay, and this is the second or third time they asked, did you cut the shirt yourself?
I did. I cut the shirt myself. It's a
Okay.
men's t-shirt I got on clearance at Target. It was like $8, and I cut it myself.
There you go. Okay. So
Mhm.
now you can sleep well at night and same.
There you go, guys.
Um,
Mhm.
okay. I'm just wondering, maybe do you have anything to promote or anything you want to talk about your type, like, that maybe we glossed over?
um, I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm interested in your insight on masculine NI because I don't think it's something that I totally understand.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a difficulty I've found, especially with saviors with masculine NI, where they just get really locked on something, and it's
Hmm.
so hard for them to let go of those patterns.
Right.
It's so hard for them to just admit they're wrong, and it's like world breaking when they see that they're wrong, and like they lose
Gotcha.
all confidence in themselves and stuff like that.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but
I feel like sometimes once I get locked onto an idea, it's really, really hard for me to let it go.
yeah,
Um,
even when it's
yeah.
past its due date, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's actually really interesting. So when I was a little kid, and maybe you can give me some insight on this because
Sure.
I guess it sort of aligns with my type, but when I was a little kid, I had like really bad anxiety when I was a child. Like I'm talking like 6, 7 years old. And I recently had this brought up back in my memory because of all this coronavirus stuff going on. So when I was in probably first or second grade, I went through this like germophobic phase where I was washing my hands until they were absolutely raw. I didn't want to touch anything. I remember like being in my house and picking stuff up and asking my mom, like, does this have germs on it? Does this have germs on it? And of course, everything has
Right.
germs on it. Because they had taught us in school, like, germs are bad.
Right.
Germs are on everything. So in my
Yeah.
little brain, which I feel like that was also part of the reason I thought I could be lead and I.
Yeah. Okay. So I went through something similar, I think. And I think what it
Mm-hmm.
is it's also demon intuition. It's that, like, sensory, you're just so you want to know what's real, what reality is. And then, like,
Mm-hmm.
there's these things in reality that are dangerous and you can't see them. And
Yeah.
it's just an idea. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
like it could be real. And
Mm-hmm.
now when you realize it's real, you have to also pay attention to it because you're accountable to that reality, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
And
My
so
theory was
then,
like maybe like because I was a child, I didn't have like the means to gather more information about it to make me feel better.
right.
Because I was a kid and like the adults in my life are telling me
Yeah.
germs are bad, be afraid of germs.
Right, yeah, yeah. Well, like they do that, I guess, because you weren't afraid and you were dirty, I guess, or something, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Be
I don't
afraid of
know. I
germs so that you
remember
wash
like it
yourself."
was like a video in school they showed us. It was one of those
Oh,
like
okay,
things.
there you go.
It was
Yeah,
like a
so
video
it's
in school
for
they
like
showed
the
me.
general population, I guess, so that they,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
general hygiene for kids.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so like, it's really weird for sensory people, I think, to consider that there's things we don't see in reality, and that we are now accountable for them. We're now responsible for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like yeah, like germs is the only thing I've really like ever freaked out about in that sort of way.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so we have Sheila, who's on the other side of you. She's ISFP. She says
Mm-hmm.
she loves just looking at everything, and she likes to pick it up and touch it and smell everything. So I guess she's
Mm-hmm.
using masculine sensory, so she's more in contact with stuff. But do you also pick things up to smell them and stuff,
I
or?
do. So there's a store, Bath and Body Works here. It's just hand soaps and candles and lotions, and that's like my happy place. I love going
Okay,
in there and just like looking at all the new things, and I feel like I'm totally their
that's
target
really
audience.
SF. That's really SF consume. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I feel like I'm so their target audience because they have like the same scents, right? But every season they'll change up the packaging so it looks a little different and it's a different color. And then I accidentally find myself like buying the new thing, and then I look in my closet and I'm like, "Oh, I already have this." But
yeah.
I want the new packaging because it's
The
pretty and it's
new,
a different
right? The
color.
new, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely their target demographic with my SF
Yeah.
consume.
Do you see that as well in your life, that I guess you get stuck in some kind of patterns without noticing that it's a pattern? No?
Maybe you mean like just buying a lot of candles and then I'm like, oops, I
No, but
bought
I
a lot
mean,
of candles.
like, okay, like say you have the same fight with a person, or like just an example, over and over again. It's the same fight over and over. Does it take you a while to figure out that, hey, we're stuck in a pattern?
I don't know if it takes me a while. Maybe. I
Yeah.
think I maybe do that unconsciously, but I feel like I have a very like, and I don't know if this is my NI or what it is, but or if it's just, being a single decider. I'm very like black and white about things. Like,
Yeah.
especially with people, it's like you have good character, you don't have good character, and it's hard for me
Right.
to
Yeah.
like live
That's
in a
single
gray
decider.
area.
Yeah. That's a single decider. Hard to live in the gray area. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll have more of the gray area on observations, like those the corona, but also yeah.
Right. It's like like, yes, it's crazy that people are panic buying toilet paper, but also I understand because these people, like, schools are closed and they're going to be home and they want to make sure they have enough. And I'm not
Yeah.
really like, especially, yeah, with all the coronavirus stuff, I'm not jumping into like the panic
Panic mode.
is too much
Yeah.
or like we should be totally scared. I'm kind of like living in the middle.
So Ensame says thanks for telling them about your shirt. They're gonna do
Oh
the same for
yeah,
you.
it's so easy. Yeah, I just buy like men's oversized shirts and cut them up and
So here we have Asai wants to know if it's not too personal, where in your life have you seen yourself discovering your FI against your TE?
yeah. So I guess I'll get a little bit personal. So I think when it really hit me in the face the most with that, with my FI tidal wave, was when I was in a relationship with someone who was pretty like textbook narcissistic. Um, and I was with them for almost 3 years. And by the end of that relationship, I was doing absolutely everything. I was doing the laundry, I was doing the cooking, I was doing the grocery shopping. And I didn't realize until after that relationship ended that I had totally lost who I was
Right.
because I had completely like molded myself to this other person's life. Yeah, so that's definitely the biggest time that a tidal wave has really smacked me in the face.
Did you, when the relationship ended, is that only when you realized it, or that's the reason, like you realized it and that's the reason the relationship ended, I guess?
Oh no, it ended anyway. And then afterwards I was like,
Afterwards you
oh,
realized
I don't like, I totally neglected all these hobbies that I used to do. I'm not talking to the same people I was before the relationship. Like, I left a lot of things.
That's the kind of thing that Demon N won't pick up on, that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because it just happens slowly over time, and you're just in the moment all the time, and you don't see the overall grand scheme of things. Yeah. So I made a mistake. Sheila is actually FF, and she agrees with you 100% with the perfume and all that stuff. Yeah. Someone wants to know if you know your Enneagram.
I don't.
You sound 6. Okay.
I sound 6-ish. I will look into that though.
Sure. And yeah, that's good. So yeah, thank you so much for coming out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do you have something you want to promote? I don't know, a charity or a website?
Not really. I do. I stream video games on Twitch. That's the only thing I have that I do.
Okay.
So
do you want to give me a link, and we'll put it in the description afterwards?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Sounds good.
So yeah, thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Amanda.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Have a good one.
Bye.